Almighty God.
All right.
The word picture, if you will, and pictures God as the one who is over all things, the one who is in control of all things. That it ought not be a shock to you to know that God is everything that we need. But God is our strength. He's that cliff or that unmovable rock. He's our strength. When everything else in this world is tossed and twisted and torn, God forever remains the same. He declares it in his word. He tells us that I'm the same yesterday, today, and I will be tomorrow. So if you got blessed yesterday, you're going to be blessed today. And if I blessed you today, I'm going to bless you tomorrow. If I brought you through yesterday, I'm going to bring you through today. And if I brought you through today, I'll bring you through today. David tells us that God is really all we need. We should rejoice in the truth of the God of heaven because he is worthy of our worship. But then he tells us that he is our shield. David calls the Lord a buckler. The word simply means a shield. But when trouble comes into all of our lives like it does, your life and my life, sometimes the Lord will allow things to come up and he will give us grace for the victory. There are times when the Lord steps between, but then there are times when the Lord steps between us and the trial, and he acts as a shield to stand between his child and the storm. You want to know how you maintained your cool when things were going on crazy about you, because the Lord stepped in to the middle. God did not allow you to experience what you could have. I like it when the Lord is my shield. But then he tells us, he keeps going and he says, God is our security. Here the Lord is called the horn of salvation. The horn is the symbol of strength. It's the symbol of conquest. And when David calls God the horn of salvation, he is saying the Lord is the strength of salvation. That he is his salvation, and that we, because of that, can have absolute security. Then finally, he tells us that God is our supply.
All right.
This last metaphor, David says that the Lord is our high tower. Refers to the great towers that were built around the ancient cities back in the day. And from these towers, soldiers could look down on their attackers and send arrows and fireballs or whatever it was that they had in their hand. These towers were usually stocked with ammunition and supplies. So when the soldiers ran to the high tower, they were above the battle. They were in the place of rest and a place of refreshment and a place of ready supply. Well, God does the same thing for us as his children. When the battle rages around us, when chaos is all around us, when confusion is all around us, we can run to him and be lifted above the trials of life. Find rest and refreshment that we need to fight the battles of life every day. This is the God that we worship. Surely we can remember what 1 Samuel 17 says, that the battle is the Lord. So David tells us in verse 1 that God is worthy of us to be delighted in him. In verse 2, he tells us God is worthy of us depending on him. Then finally in verse 3, he tells us that God is worthy of our devotion. In this verse, David makes a pledge to call on God and to trust him and him alone for the victories of life. The idea that what David is trying to tell us and what's communicated in the text here is that the psalmist is aware that the power of his praiseworthy God, that God is worthy to be praised, and that he is pledging his life to walk in this awareness. Now that flew right over your head. Let me break it down for you. What David is really saying is that I can walk in victory because I'm aware of who God is. I'm aware of what God can do. And so he pledges to walk by faith and not by sight. David knew that faith faith in the Lord would result in the victories of life. Surely there have been times in David's life when he was on the run and he thought that he would be captured and killed by Saul. But God had proven to be greater. God had proven to be slicker. God had proven to be more victorious. David knew that if God could do it yesterday, that he could surely do it today. What a lesson for us as the children of God. We got to learn that God is all these things that David said he was. Let me hurry up and close. The God we worship him because he's worthy of our delight. He's worthy of us being happy in who he is. God is worthy of us depending on him. I know we like to depend on our job, and I know we like to depend on our spouse, and I know we like to depend on the bank for a loan, and we like to depend on this and that. But God is worthy of our dependence, worthy of our dependence. The God we serve will protect you. The God we serve will provide for you. The God we serve will help you. The God we serve will bless you. The God we worship will be there for you. The God we worship will bless you. The God we worship will heal you. The God we worship will save you. The God we worship. Is there anybody here who is thankful that we worship the God who sits high and looks low? Is there anybody who can say, I lift my hands and heals from which come my help? Who gave me a portion of it? The God we worship is worthy of our praise. Later on, David says this in verse 26. The Lord liveth, blessed be my rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. It reminds us that God is a God of whom is worthy to be worshipped and adored. The God we worship.
The God we worship. There may be somebody here who doesn't know that God that we worship.